Hey from
Swift Current.
Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Still in Saskatchewan today, probably for the last day. And actually, it's been a really good day. I think we've. It wasn't a really good night. We started out a little tired for sure, and we still feel that we have that sort of exhaustion behind everything.
Alrighty, welcome to what we think is the morning of day 13. Here we are in front of our Airbnb where we got almost no sleep. About to launch. It's okay, I'm talking to you. For Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Our goal for the day, about 256K. Weather looks pretty good. The wind was supposed to be a little cool. Not cool, I shouldn't say that. Strong. Through in the 30s, but as we look at it today, it's more like low 20s. Even high teens at times. So, weather looks beautiful sunny wise. Yeah. We thought we were going to have another wind fighting day. I don't think it's going to be so bad at all. So yeah, welcome to our little subdivision. Just let's get launched here. Alright, so I alluded to the Airbnb where we got no sleep. Oh my goodness, it happened again, sort of. Although we're learning, we're getting better at dealing with this situation with Airbnbs, which is, units like there where they rent out both the basement and the main floor. So we thought they lived on the main floor and they just rented out the basement. That's usually what we've seen with Airbnbs, and they had specified a quiet time, which tells us they want to go to bed at that time. So it sounded, exactly like what we wanted. Last night I had a presentation to give to Karachi University that was supposed to be 10 till 11:15. It didn't start till 10:30. And went close to midnight. But I'd asked ahead of time if I could do that, and he was like, yeah, sure. They can't hear you upstairs. So that was fine. I did that, and I don't think they did hear me upstairs. Everything was fine. So shortly after midnight, get to bed, and then at 2 in the morning, I don't know what they were doing, fighting and banging and talking loudly, and it was going on and on and on and on and on. Sometime around 2:15 or 2:30, reached out to the host, who was very responsive. Chuck, he was all over it. Got in touch with them, finally got them to shut up. Cool. Oop, that's stop sign. So that was great. Still had trouble getting to sleep after that, because again, you get kind of wound up by these things, right? They frustrate you and they annoy you, and then it's hard just to go to sleep after that. But I think we did. But then by about 4 o'clock, they're up again. I don't know what they're doing. They weren't arguing, they weren't banging, but they're walking all around and woke me up. And yeah, and I had something to do at 7. I had a presentation to give at 7, and so anyway, I would say we're at about 3 hours sleep.
But luckily, we didn't pick two. What did we do? 230, 240K?
Oh, I'm not even sure.
250K, maybe 250K. And the weather was beautiful. The wind was reasonable, although we did get some gusts. We definitely were fighting the wind at times, but it wasn't like it was that first day when we were really exhausted. So we left Regina, and the first thing that was surprising is when we came into Regina, I wanted to get you some shots of Regina, but then suddenly we were there. Our subdivision was outside of Regina, and then the whole next day we just stayed where we were. Well, we went out for dinner. But otherwise we stayed where we were, and we didn't go into Regina. Yeah, and it was raining, and so there was no reason to go through. And so I thought this morning when we took off, I thought we would just jump right back on the one west and not see Regina. But instead, our GPS kind of took us through Regina.
Okay, well, so I just noticed as when we were coming into town, I hoped to give you a view of the Regina skyline. But then it turned out our Airbnb was right on the very outskirts of Regina, and we never really got there, even though I could see it in the distance. So I thought, okay, gone. But now as we're riding, I can see, and we can't see it yet. But coming up ahead is the Regina skyline, and might be able to show it to you after all. As we're supposedly leaving Regina today, it looks like we're kind of going through it, or at least through enough of it to show you a little bit. At the same time, I'm trying out my new angle on this GoPro. I have absolutely no idea what this angle will give you other than my being dead. But it's something different. I'm trying to figure out how to mix things up for you a little bit. Thought I would try this as we go through.
But it was cool. We got to see
That's
a
been the
lot.
fastest way to get to one.
Yeah, and we got to see bits and
Solid.
parts of it. I got some GoPro of us going through Regina, which is cool. And then I always have to remember to pause. I can edit these things out showing the GoPro. But anyway, and so then suddenly we kind of came out of Regina proper, and we were into the country, and really kind of country roads. And I started to get the feeling that this was how it was going to be today, that the GPS wasn't going to take us on 1 West, that it was going to take us through these backcountry roads.
So an interesting development. I might have told you that when we were in the Maritimes, we would just set our GPS and just tell it the destination we wanted to go, and we'd tell it, hey, pick the curviest route. And they would do that. And we'd end up on all these great roads, and we told them to avoid highways. Avoided highways as we asked. But then out west here, this hasn't been possible because there's really only one road to Trans-Canada. So it forces you onto the Trans-Canada. Now, when we were looking at this last night,
And when I looked at the time that it was going to take, it was about the same amount of time. So I was like, fantastic, we're going to do these backcountry roads. And I enjoyed that feeling for a while. And then we turned on to the 1 West. So we were back on the 1 West.
right, so my last update from the road was an error. I thought, so by the way, let's just look at this. This is what camping means in the prairies. A bunch of RVs side by side, and you're probably going to see any tents. I don't think a lot of people tent in the prairies. I think it's hard to tent in the prairies, A, because you have almost no shelter. I mean, there were a few trees around that one. But I think we're increasingly getting into the real prairies, which will be flatter all the time, I think. Well, this doesn't look like the prairies at all, really, when you look at it. But yeah, we were looking at camping sites last night, and often what they were was big gravel parking lots that RVs could pull up to and plug in and do their sewer thing and whatever the heck they do. And you didn't see any tents mixed in amongst them. So we were thinking tonight, well, I mean now, finally, the nights are not frigid. They're tentable. But are the prairies tentable?
But you know, it was actually a really nice ride.
Very little traffic.
Very little traffic, nice sun, a little bit of wind again, and we really kind of had all of our myths about the prairies, I think, dispelled. I think we really enjoyed. I mean, you're riding fast, you're riding straight, but otherwise the countryside was actually interesting, changeable. Went from having a few trees to being real non-treed but not flat. There was a lot of undulation in the land and the road and in the anyway, it was cool. We stopped for coffee. Where did we stop for coffee? Well, we don't know. Carmelot or something. I may have it on some of the video that we captured, but we went by Moose Jaw and went with Moose Jaw is just one of the coolest name places. And then Sue's found a coffee and pizza shop, but it was a really kind of cool, interesting coffee shop that had local art and all that kind of stuff. Good coffee. We had some coffee cake. Wasn't okay.
It was okay.
It was okay. Good to recharge us because we were tired. We hadn't slept much, so we wanted to make sure we were staying fresh.
Those
Hopped back.
darned upstairs neighbors.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
Let's not go there. So then we hopped back on the One West.
Alrighty, I have repositioned the GoPro yet again as we leave the Beacon. That's actually Beacon, the B fell down. Coffee shop and pizzeria. It was a great place for a coffee stop. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, I moved the other GoPro to the front of Sue's bike now to give you that full panoramic view from the front. After coffee break, we were on perhaps the Chaplin, which you see advertised there is only 60 away, or to another place called, I forget what it's called, Morse, which is 90 close.
And went for a while. So we did some really good long little stints on the One West, enjoying the scenery and stuff we saw along the way. I can't remember if the salt mine was before lunch or after lunch. Oh, it was lunch. It kind of
It
went.
was right around
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So one of the interesting
Yeah.
things as we were going is just the unexpected things you run into. As we were going along, we were coming to the place where we had lunch, which was called Morse. But just before that, there was, you could suddenly see all the white.
Alright, barely got the camera on in time, but take a look over there. It's hard to do while I'm going around the corner with the truck beside me. But we came across salt mines. I didn't know what it was at first. I'll try to look over my shoulder to give you a sense here. But yeah, suddenly there was all this white on the road. And there's, by the way, some body of water over there as well. But all this white, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, and then I realized it was salt mines. And so then I was frantically trying to get the GoPro engaged so I could show it to you and capture it on video. I only got a piece of it, but you gotta take a look. Some more trees are back. The landscape's continually changing.
In and of itself, and because the lake really looked beautiful, because it was salty. It was like this green
Yeah, it was
color.
a nice color.
It was very cool. So that's where we had lunch. We came into Morse. Morse itself, interesting town. It had a bit of that west feel. So we've talked about seeing magpies. And magpies I think of as a western bird, and we saw another one of them today. Not many though, we still haven't seen many. A couple days ago we saw our first dude in a cowboy hat. Which tells us we're heading west. I think there's going to be more cowboy hats as we head further west into Alberta and such. Where was I going with that? Anyway, this town, Morse, kind of had the feel like when you see like a ghost town from the west, or you see an old western. It kind of had that feel. It felt
Yeah,
west.
I wasn't even sure that the buildings were, the places were open.
Yeah, but we found a restaurant. It was great. Canadian Chinese food.
Yeah.
Excellent. We
Just had the leftovers.
Yeah, we had the food at the time, and then we had a whole bunch of leftovers which we brought back here. Alrighty, so here we are in Morse. We found ourselves this Canadian Chinese food place for lunch. That's mushroom chow mein, mushroom chop suey. Good veggies, a lot of nutrients in that one. Fantastic, just what we need on the road.
And
where
enough for dinner too.
Yeah, where we don't really get, this is how we like to eat with all these sort of fresh vegetables and stuff. And so, yeah, we're gonna have more than enough to take with us. We got about 60K to go. 40?
Isn't it?
I thought we did 90, 60, or 69. But anyway, 40.
It probably is 60, but
40 to 60 to go. And that'll take us to,
Yeah, 60.
take us to what? I've lost the name.
Swift Current.
Swift Current. Swift Current looks interesting. We may camp. There's some camping possibilities. We've got nothing booked, so we're going to pull into Swift Current relatively early, probably before 2. No, it's almost 2
Nope.
now. Probably more like 3. And then we'll look around. There's some hotels there. There's no Airbnbs, but there's motels, hotels, and campsites. So we'll see what we find. But so far, a great stop. This town, by the way, has this sort of Western vibe, a little bit. It just kind of feels whatever. And yeah, this was a great little stop on the way.
Have those old buildings.
Yeah, a bunch of old buildings with those flat fronts, kind of like you think of, when you see the saloons and the ghost towns and stuff like that. Kind of has that vibe. I've got a few pictures, so I'll share some of those pictures. Anyway, all great for lunch. It was a cool town. The funny thing about that town is people parked in the middle of the street. Like literally in the middle of the road, there's like a parking lane or something. We didn't quite figure it out, but we saw all these people parking in the middle of the street now. And when we left, we had to kind of go through these people to get to our right lane.
And one person actually parked, and someone was coming along and just stopped and talked to them. So they parked.
It's small town, it's country town. It was kind of interesting. So at any rate, from there, from Morse, we just we only had about 60k to go or something like that, and we scooted up here to Swift Current, and we like it. We like Swift Current. So when we came, we went to a Shoppers Drug Mart. First of all, we wanted to get a couple of provisions. We were low on toothpaste and stuff, and then we sat in their little chairs because it's finally warm, by the way. It's 20 plus, 24, 27.
But before that, we got to meet Louis.
Oh, yeah. Before we got into Shoppers, outside in the parking lot. I mean, just the way we look and the way our bikes look, people talk to us because they can tell we're up to something, right? Our bikes are so loaded and we got this gear on. And so a guy started chatting with us. And he was a Métis gentleman, and we were talking about the bikes and such, and we had a good little conversation.
Then I noticed the pup.
Yeah, Sue noticed in his truck was a lab. How old was he?
4 months.
4 months. Louis the chocolate lab. And Sue was like googly eyeing him, and so dude, we don't know dude, we know Louis's name, we don't know dude's name. So dude lets Louis out of the truck, and he comes, and what a fantastic dog for 4 months, just a great dog. And so we interacted with him. I think I got some picture of Sue with him, and maybe even a little video of Sue with him. Let's see, I'm not sure. But it was really cool. It was cool to meet both Louis and his owner, and they were really nice. And so yeah, we went into Shoppers, find our stuff, but then we sat down in the chairs and figured out, like, where the heck are we going to stay tonight? And for whatever reason, you never really know, we started looking at motels.
There were no Airbnbs, first of all.
There's no Airbnbs, and when we came in, we came by a bunch of motels. And so we thought, let's just take a look, and it turns out there were some that were quite reasonable, much cheaper than most Airbnbs, actually.
Yeah.
And we ended
could
up
have
at...
camped, but it was going to go down to 13, so a little bit cool for camping.
Well, and we just didn't sleep well last night, and we just want a good night's sleep and carry on our way. So we looked at this one motel. What's the name? What's the brand name of this motel? No, Crest.
I'll find out.
We're gonna find out because we like it. They've been really nice. The room is clean. It's fantastic. It has everything we need. The staff here has been really excellent. For example, getting us plates so we could microwave. We never microwave food, but anyway, microwave our leftover lunch. Coast Hotels. And so, yeah, it was like $89 for a room, which is very reasonable. Again, very nice people. We have TV that actually has channels on it, like not
Roku,
not Netflix and Roku and YouTube, which is fine.
Channels.
But we're more live TV kind of people, live news, live sports. So it's nice to actually get to see. We're watching the Blue Jays right now
game.
over the corner. Yeah. And so we're quite happy with this place, quite reasonable, and and it's been a good day. We're exhausted. We can feel the exhaustion. It's about 7 at night here. By the way, one of the things we're realizing is it gets light very early here, like about 4 a.m. is what it would be in like 6 a.m. in Toronto. Like it feels like it never get anyway. About 4 a.m. I guess because we're north.
I guess so.
And it's now 7:30 p.m. and it's bright as heck
Oh, yeah,
outside.
sun's
That's the
just
sun
beaming.
shining on us. It's going to be shining till 11, like 10 or 11 or something, which is an
Makes it
interesting
tricky.
interesting facet because this is also very good dark sky country. There's not a lot around here, and so we know if we wait it out, or well, we're not even going to plan to wait it out. We're going to crash when we crash, and when the first one of us has to get up, we're going to have all our clothes ready and we're going to go outside. When the first one of us has to have a pee in the middle of the night, we're like going to wake the other one up and say, all right, let's do it. And we're going to go outside and take a little bit of a stroll and enjoy the night sky.